There is a winter storm in Holmes County, Ohio in January 2021 that knocked out power to 47,000 households for 11 days. 11 days. No heat, no refrigeration, no light, no water pump. 11 days in January in Ohio. The County Emergency Management Office opened warming shelters. The grocery stores cleared their shelves in the first 24 hours. The gas stations ran out of fuel for generators within 48 hours. Hospitals went to backup power. Schools closed for 2 weeks. The economic disruption was estimated at $180 million. On Amish farms across the same county, nothing changed. Not because the Amish were lucky. Not because their properties were spared the ice storm. Because the systems that the rest of the county depended on for heat, water, food, and light were not the systems the Amish were running. Their masonry heaters had been burning since November and would burn until April regardless of the grid. Their root cellars had been full since October. Their wells were hand-pumped or gravity-fed. Their lights were kerosene and beeswax candles. Their food was in the cellar, and the fermentation crocks and the preserved jars on the shelves. 11 days without grid power was not an emergency on an Amish farm. It was an ordinary January. This video is about resilience. Not the prepper version of resilience, where you stockpile supplies against a specific threat scenario. The Amish version, where the daily systems are designed so that the failure of external infrastructure changes nothing about the household's ability to function. Not because you prepared for emergencies, because you never created the dependencies that make external infrastructure failure an emergency. The distinction is fundamental. The prepper stockpiles because they are dependent and they know it. The Amish family does not stockpile because they are not dependent. The prepper's 3-month food supply runs out in 3 months. The Amish root cellar and preservation program runs out at the next harvest because it was designed to bridge exactly that gap. The prepper's generator fuel runs out. The Amish masonry heater burns wood that grows on the property and requires no supply chain. The prepper's water storage runs out. The Amish hand pump draws from an aquifer that does not fail because the grid does. These are not the same system. They produce the same immediate outcome. The household continues functioning when the grid fails. But they produce it through completely different mechanisms. The prepper system depletes under stress. The Amish system is a production system. Let me describe what the Holmes County Amish household's resilience looks like in the specific context of the January 2021 storm. Specifically, heat. The masonry heater had been burning since November. It was burned once a day for 90 minutes, producing 24 hours of radiant heat. When the storm hit and temperatures dropped to 15 degrees, the family burned it twice a day. The house maintained 62 degrees. Wood consumption increased by 30% over the storm period. The family had 4 cords of split hardwood in the barn. The storm consumed approximately 1/10 of a cord over 11 days. No supplemental heat was required. Water. The hand pump draws from the well at 40 feet depth. It pumps through manual operation of the pump handle, approximately 100 strokes per 10 gallons. The family needs approximately 30 gallons per day for drinking, cooking, and basic sanitation. 300 pump strokes per day. 15 minutes of physical work. No electricity required. No pressure tank required. No service call required. Food. The root cellar contained potatoes through April, carrots through March, beets through April, winter squash through February, hard cheese through February, fermented vegetables through June, canned goods through the following summer. The family ate from the root cellar as they had been eating from it since October. The storm changed nothing about the food supply. The only change was that they cooked more hearty soups and less fresh food since the cold weather naturally directed their appetite. Light. Beeswax candles from the hive's annual wax production provided evening light. The family maintained a kerosene lantern for reading and detailed work. Both light sources had been in use before the grid existed and continued providing adequate light through 11 days without it. Communication. This is the one category where the Amish household was affected. They do not have cell phones and their battery-powered radios require batteries that need periodic replacement. For 11 days, they relied on information passed through the community's network, neighbors visiting, word carried through the church district, and the handful of community members with business phones who kept the community informed about the broader situation. The total additional cost to the Amish household: approximately $3 in wood and $1 in candles, $0 in emergency food, water, or heating purchases, against the average non-Amish household's storm costs, approximately $400 in heating and $200 in spoiled food, $150 in generator fuel, and $50 in miscellaneous purchases. Total, approximately $800. The difference between $4 and $800 is the financial expression of self-reliance versus grid dependency. As aging infrastructure and extreme weather interact, the lifetime value of that resilience is not negligible. In a world of uncertainty, true resilience is built one stroke of the pump at a time. The U.S. Energy Information Administration reports that the average American customer experienced approximately 8 hours of electricity interruption per year as of 2022. In states with aging infrastructure or exposure to severe weather, the average is substantially higher. Texas customers experienced an average of 500 hours of interruption in 2021, the year of the winter storm freeze event. 8 hours per year at the Amish household's $4 storm cost versus the grid-dependent household's $800 storm cost is a small difference. 500 hours in a single year at the same ratio is not. Resilience is not a preparation for emergencies. It is the consequence of building systems on principles. Store what arrives, release it slowly, maintain the relationships, keep the knowledge. The systems that produce resilience are the same systems that produce the $1.3 million in lifetime savings. They are not separate. The masonry heater that saves $1,000 per year in heating costs also heats the house through the 11-day grid outage. The root cellar that saves $3,000 per year in cold storage is also the root cellar that feeds the family through any disruption. The hand pump that reduces water costs is also the hand pump that provides water when the electric pump fails. The fermentation program replacing $400 monthly in food purchases provides nutritionally complete food for months without any commercial supply. Every system described is simultaneously an economic system and a resilience system. Not because it was designed for emergencies, but to be self-sustaining. Self-sustaining systems do not have emergency conditions. They have ordinary conditions that continue operating while other systems experience emergencies. The Lancaster County family, whose root cellar has been running since 1952, was building a food storage system that worked better than the alternative. The fact that it also functions when the commercial alternative fails is not an emergency feature. It is a consequence of the system working correctly. That is the Amish approach to resilience. Not preparation. Design. Design the system so they do not have the dependencies that create vulnerability. The dependency is the vulnerability. The Amish system eliminates the dependency, producing resilience as a natural consequence of the design. Drop your state and your current grid resilience situation in the comments. How long would your household be comfortable without power for 11 days? The path from grid-dependent to self-sustaining is the same path, one system at a time, in the right order. Address the most critical dependency first. The Amish in Holmes County were comfortable in January 2021. They had been practicing Tuesday for 200 years. The Tuesday that doesn't stop coming. The Tuesday that does not depend on the grid. That Tuesday is available to anyone who builds the systems that produce it. Starting today.